Hello and welcome to our series on the Cherokee Trail in Kansas. I'm Brian Stuckey, president of the Friends of the Cherokee Trail in Kansas. This is our fourth video segment. The Cherokee Trail is an 1849 gold rush trail going from Arkansas and Oklahoma up through Kansas, meeting the Santa Fe Trail and out to California. In its first journey, it had whites from Arkansas and the Cherokees from Tahlequah area who joined together. We're following the path of this trail through Kansas. Our last stop on the trail is at the junction of the Cherokee Trail with the Santa Fe Trail at the Running Turkey Creek, southeast of Galva, Kansas. To tell you more is our member, Linda Anderson, who also works at the Galva Museum.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for joining me at Iron Horse Road. This is the east side of the historic junction where the Cherokee Trail joined the Santa Fe Trail, just 1 mile east and 2 miles south of Galva. A very important camping place on the Santa Fe Trail was here at Running Turkey Creek, at the junction of the two trails. Right now we see lots of trees, but at that time there were no trees visible. Look southeast across this field and imagine 40 wagons, 130 people, including 15 Cherokee, 441 mules, oxen, horses, and cows coming across the prairie. What a sight. And then look east, and the Santa Fe Trail wagons were joining the Cherokee Trail right here at this historic junction. Through Brian's dowsing, we have learned that there are 40 sets of wagon tracks crossing the road from the road crossing sign on Iron Horse Road to the one that's really close to 22nd Avenue.
Linda, is there any documentation or written record of what you've learned?
Yes, in the Cherokee Trail diaries, written by Dr. Jack and Pat Fletcher, Hiram Davis wrote, arriving at the junction of the New Wagon Road and the Santa Fe Trail, the company devised a post office, wrapping news of their arrival and accomplishment in pasteboard and oilcloth, then placing it firmly under the only large rock they could find and planted it in the fork of the road. One of the workmen cut these letters upon it. To Fayetteville, Arkansas, 300 miles, Captain Evans, California Company, May 12th, 1849, to apprise a prairie traveler of a new road. To me, that is so exciting to know the exact date they joined the Santa Fe Trail here.
How did they travel through the country? Did the diaries describe their journeys?
Yes. Davis continued to write that the Evans Cherokee Company had just completed the first ever wagon traverse of the road from Arkansas through Indian Territory and future Kansas to the Santa Fe Trail. No wagon had ever traveled this route before, and it was considered impracticable by some, but a better wagon road than they have made cannot be found west of the Mississippi River. The trail was on the divide, which they found to be exclusively of high, dry, rolling prairie slopes, offering no obstacles whatever to any number of wagons. A direct quote from Davis reads, "Even at this early season, we have had plenty of excellent grass, and our stock are improving every day on this beautiful carpeted land ocean." I love how they describe this area. And it's just as beautiful today with this Kansas wheat creating waves in the wind.
So, the Cherokee Trail, coming from the southeast, joined the Santa Fe Trail on the east side of the Turkey Creek, about where you see that bump of trees jutting out into the field, and then crossed over the creek.
We are at the site of Running Turkey Creek. It was called Running Turkey Creek because the creek is spring-fed and never runs dry.
Linda, we're in central Kansas. With the development of farming over the years, is there anything left for people to see anymore?
On private property, there used to be a visible swale. The landowner's grandchildren had made a path that they loved to drive with their four-wheelers because of its dips, which we now realize were swales. Now those grandkids are grown, and that area is overgrown with weeds and not very visible. The rest of the ground around here has been worked for so many years, there is nothing visible of either trail.
Well, let's go now and see what's on the west side of the creek. Now we're on the west side of the Running Turkey Creek. After they crossed the Running Turkey Creek and joined the Santa Fe Trail, they headed west for several miles before they started going southwest. A 1921 map shows where the trail went in this area. The frequently traveled distance from Independence to Santa Fe along the mountain route is 779 miles, 362 miles of it of the Santa Fe Trail, or 45% of it, was shared by the Cherokee Trail. The landmarks, campsites, experiences, hazards of the trail were shared by both sets of travelers. It is at La Junta, near Bent's Fort in Colorado, that the Cherokee Trail leaves the Santa Fe Trail and goes on west to Pueblo, where it turned north along the Rocky Mountain Front Range, through Colorado into Wyoming, and then west to Fort Bridger, where the California-bound travelers switched to the Oregon-California Trail. The trail became an all-purpose trail, especially for those seeking to emigrate to the west. In the ensuing years, cattle drives would dominate the emigration. In 1861, the Cherokee Trail was closed in Kansas because of the outbreak of the Civil War. A local volunteer militia group from Butler County saw a large train of stolen government wagons from the west and headed toward Arkansas. They were captured, and all the trail travel was prohibited at that time. Linda, tell us about the location here.
Like Brian said, we are on the west side of Running Turkey Creek on 22nd Avenue. There is so much history here besides the Santa Fe Trail and the Cherokee Trail. I just wish we could go back in time. Oh, look, I see Mary Drum. She settled here in 1872.
1854, 5 years after the Evans Cherokee group came through this place, Kansas was established as a territory. Up to that time, this was all belongs to the Comanche, the Pawnee, the Osage, and the Kansas Indians. No white settlers were allowed here. In 1855, the federal government offered 160 acres along the trail if anyone could establish and operate a trading ranch. Charlie Fuller took the government up on that offer, and he built his ranch up the hill to the west. That was considered to be the first permanent white settlement in this area. Charlie also had employed 2 sisters to cook and serve the customers as they came through, and that was very unusual to have women this far west. The Watermans took over the running of the ranch in the 1860s. In 1871, Joseph Colby and his family, they homesteaded to the south of Fuller's Ranch. And Joseph Colby was a land agent, and he could persuade people to stay. My husband Cornelius, my children, and myself, we homesteaded 160 acres to the northeast. And in 1872, and we came here from Allen County, Kansas. By 1873, there were 21 homes in sight. Our name for our little town was Empire, and that was because to the neighboring community was called King City. And everyone knows that an empire is bigger than a kingdom. We had such plans for our little town. However, in September of 1879, the McPherson-Marion branch of the Santa Fe, Atchison-Topeka-Santa Fe Railroad came through. And on that very day, people, their buildings, their houses were picked up and started moving to the railroad camp, which was 2.5 miles north and 1 mile west. And they named that new town Galva.
Linda, are there any mysteries or questions unanswered that you would like to know?
All of us, including the Fletchers, have wanted to know what happened to that rock that was used for a post office. An oil field pumper told me he could see the top of a rock buried just south of the hedgerow across from the cemetery. So the Fletchers came all the way from Washington State to dig that rock up. And this is what we found. While we have no proof that this is the rock, it really was fun to try to find it with the Fletchers. We may never know what really happened to that original rock.
Thank you for traveling along with us on our trail adventure. For more information, go to the website www.cherokeetrail.org. So come discover your trail, our trail, the Cherokee Trail for the Oregon-California Trails Association.